Ever feel like your kids just don't listen anymore? What if a few simple steps could bring back the respect you deserve? Stick around, and we'll show you how to reconnect and restore that lost bond. Have you ever found yourself quietly wondering, when did I lose my children's respect? Maybe it was subtle at first, more eye-rolling than usual, dismissive replies where they used to be patient, or a general sense that your voice carries less weight. You might brush it off, thinking they're busy with their own lives now, or maybe I'm just imagining it. But deep down, you know something's changed. The warmth that once filled your conversations has cooled, or the phone calls and visits that used to feel natural now feel obligatory or fleeting. It's a strange, lonely realization, especially after pouring so much love and sacrifice into raising them. But before you resign yourself to feeling undervalued, consider this. It's often possible to rekindle your children's respect. It's never about forcing them to see you in a new light. It's about reshaping the relationship so they naturally want to reconnect on equal, loving terms. In this scenario, we'll delve into 6 practical tips that can help shift the family dynamic, bringing back a deeper, healthier form of respect, and maybe even closer bonds than you ever had before. First, let's clear something up. Losing a bit of your children's respect doesn't necessarily mean they no longer care about you. Often, they love you just as much as ever. But life changes along with stress, generational gaps, and new family obligations can cause them to see you differently. Roles evolve. Once, you were the guiding force in their lives. Now, they might be juggling so many responsibilities that they fail to treat you with the same attentiveness. Or maybe your own reactions have shifted. Perhaps you focus more on health concerns, or you're less patient with your children's busier, more modern pace. Over time, small misunderstandings, remarks, or tensions can build up into a wedge that dulls the warmth of the relationship. The good news? Recognizing this wedge is the first step in gently removing it. Below, you'll find 6 specific suggestions. Some might challenge your pride or your old habits, but remember, you're not giving in or giving up. You're simply adopting new ways to communicate that emphasize dignity and mutual respect. Each tip is rooted in empathy, self-awareness, and the belief that relationships can grow even in later decades of life. With that in mind, let's explore how you can start reclaiming the respect you deserve from your children. Tip 1. Redefine boundaries with confidence. Many older adults slide into a position of needing their children's help, whether it's a ride to the doctor, assistance with technology, or even financial support. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. But the tricky part is when children start to see you primarily as someone who always needs something, rather than as a capable individual in your own right. This can slowly undermine respect. The fix isn't to avoid help altogether, especially if you truly need it, but to clearly define boundaries that remind everyone you still have agency and independence. One approach is to ask for help only when it's truly necessary, and to offer something back in return if you can. Even a small gesture can reframe the dynamic. For instance, suppose your adult daughter picks up groceries for you once a week. You might repay her kindness with a home-cooked meal or a sincere note showing gratitude, or perhaps a bit of childcare for your grandchildren if you're able. The point isn't to keep score, it's to demonstrate that you're still a contributing member of the relationship, not merely a receiver. Sometimes that means setting a boundary on your own involvement, too. If your children are used to you babysitting at the drop of a hat or stepping in whenever they have a crisis, you might feel a growing sense of resentment when they fail to show appreciation. That resentment can turn into friction. In these moments, kindly letting them know you have your own schedule or commitments can actually foster respect. It shows your time is valuable. Paradoxically, by occasionally saying, "I'm sorry, I can't help this time," you remind them that you're not just waiting around at their beck and call. This kind of boundary, gently asserted, can reset the family dynamic in a healthy way. Tip 2. Embrace a new kind of listening. How often do conversations with your children revolve around your own worries, health updates, household needs, or frustrations? It's natural to want to share your experiences with them, especially if you live alone or rarely see them. Yet if every encounter begins or ends with your personal challenges, your children might start avoiding deeper talks. feeling like every conversation drains them. Respect grows when listening flows both ways. So, consider adopting a fresh listening style. Ask your children about their lives. Genuinely ask. Not just, "How are you?" in a passing tone, but something like, "What's been on your mind lately?" Or, "I noticed you seemed stressed last week. How are you handling things?" Then, let them speak without interruption or immediate advice. If you sense a problem, resist the urge to say, "Here's what I do." Instead, try reflecting back what you hear. "It sounds like you're juggling a lot right now." This signals you're truly hearing their perspective. Over time, this can rebuild respect because they see you as someone interested in their world, not just someone wanting attention or complaining about personal pains. David, 72, found that whenever he called his adult son, the conversation would quickly get awkward. David realized he mainly talked about his back pain, medication hassles, or how lonely the house felt since retirement. Of course, these were real issues, but the tone overshadowed everything else. After reading about active listening, David tried a new approach. He asked his son about work, about how his grandchildren were doing, and simply let him talk. David held back on lengthy, personal grievances until his son naturally asked about his health. The difference was immediate. His son seemed more relaxed, more open, and, ironically, more respectful in how he responded. David wasn't deceiving his son or pretending everything was perfect. He was simply showing genuine curiosity, and that signaled a healthier, more reciprocal relationship. Tip 3. Stop chasing approval. Stand in your own strength. Sometimes, parents unknowingly undermine their authority by overly seeking their children's approval. Maybe you repeatedly do favors or buy them gifts in hopes they'll appreciate you more. Or you let them talk down to you because you want to avoid conflict. Over time, such actions can actually corrode respect because your children sense they can dominate or disregard your feelings without consequences. A more empowering path is to stand in your own strength, politely but firmly. If your adult daughter criticizes how you handle your finances or your housekeeping, for instance, you might calmly say, "I hear your concern, but I also trust myself to make decisions in my own home." That single statement can shift the dynamic from you feeling defensive to calmly affirming your autonomy. The goal is not to argue or escalate tension, but to show you're secure in who you are, that you value their input, but you won't be pushed around. Nancy, who's 68, used to let her grown kids make her feel guilty for everything from the temperature of her house to the brand of milk she bought. She worried that if she stood her ground, they'd distance themselves. But eventually, their constant criticisms wore her down. One day, after her daughter snapped, "Mom, you need to keep your house cooler. You're wasting energy," Nancy replied. "I appreciate your concern, but I make these choices for my comfort, and that's final." Her daughter was taken aback, but, interestingly, grew more respectful over time. Nancy had to repeat such boundaries a few times, but each repetition helped reestablish that Nancy was an adult with her own preferences, not a child to be scolded. Tip 4. Lead by example. Actions speak louder than pleas. Have you ever asked or demanded, "Why don't you respect me?" That question rarely leads anywhere productive. Respect is earned, not commanded, and often it's earned through consistent, integrity-driven action. If your children see you complaining about family members behind their backs, or they notice you make promises you don't keep, they'll subconsciously register that behavior. Even subtle contradictions, like urging them to live frugally while you spend irresponsibly, can chip away at respect. Leading by example might mean practicing the values you wish them to honor in you: honesty, kindness, reliability, and gratitude. For instance, if you want them to treat you with patience, demonstrate patience toward them and others. If you desire that they keep you in the loop about important decisions, show them you're willing to let them make their own choices without constant nagging. If you wish they be more expressive of appreciation, let them see you express thanks for even small courtesies. Over time, consistent modeling of these traits can awaken their respect more powerfully than any lecture ever could. Bill is a grandfather who wants his children to treat him with more warmth and generosity. He noticed he rarely said thank you to his daughter, who came by weekly to help mow his small lawn. It wasn't intentional, He simply took it as a given that she'd do it. After deciding to model gratitude, Bill made a point of expressing genuine thanks each time she came. He even started leaving a short note, "I really appreciate your help, it means a lot," or offering a cold drink and a moment to chat. Over weeks, he noticed his daughter became warmer in response. She also began telling him about her day, which signaled she felt safer opening up. That's what can happen when you lead by example. You set a tone that invites mutual respect rather than demanding it. Tip 5. Balance support with self-care. In many families, older parents take on the role of supporters or problem solvers, especially if grandchildren are involved. You might find yourself stepping in regularly, loaning money, babysitting, acting as a mediator in marital spats, or offering unsolicited advice because you just want to help. While your intentions are good, if you overextend yourself or push too forcefully, your children can start seeing you as intrusive or controlling. They might even resent what they perceive as meddling, which undermines respect. The more balanced approach is to remain a pillar of support while safeguarding your own well-being. That means if you're asked to babysit 3 times a week and it's wearing you out, you might say, "I can help one day, but the rest of the time, I need to rest or attend to my own commitments." This stance is not selfish. It's essential for maintaining healthy family dynamics. And ironically, it can spark more respect because your children see you as someone who understands your own limits and stands up for them. It also subtly teaches them that relationships work best when both sides respect each other's time and energy. Self-care also includes pursuing your own interests or social circle, rather than waiting around for your kids to provide companionship. If you enroll in a local painting class, volunteer at a community center, or even attend a seniors fitness group, you'll not only boost your own sense of fulfillment, but you'll demonstrate that you have a full, active life. This self-sufficiency can make your children respect you more. They see you as an individual with your own passions, not just someone relying on them for social or emotional support. Tip 6. Address tensions directly but calmly. One of the most damaging patterns in families is sweeping tensions under the rug. If your children speak to you dismissively or make you feel small, but you remain silent, resentment builds. Likewise, if you respond with anger or sarcasm, the conflict escalates. Neither approach fosters respect. Instead, consider calmly stating how their words or tone make you feel, then invite a solution-focused conversation. For example, when you say, "I don't understand anything about technology, it hurts. I'd like us to talk about how we can work together without belittling me." Of course, these conversations can be uncomfortable, especially if your family isn't used to open communication. It helps to frame it not as an accusation, but as a desire to strengthen the relationship. You might say, "I love you and value our time together, but lately, I feel we've been missing some of the warmth we used to have. Can we figure out how to restore that?" This approach signals that you're not looking to blame. You're looking to collaborate. Sometimes a child might respond defensively at first, but if you remain calm, respectful, and grounded in your own dignity, it can open the door to real progress. Carol, 70, found that her adult son often scolded her about her spending habits. Instead of shutting down or yelling back, she took a direct approach. "I know you worry about me financially, but when you criticize my purchases without asking about my budget or why I buy certain things, it makes me feel incompetent. I'd love to talk about finances together in a way that respects both of us." Her son was startled. He hadn't realized how hurtful his tone was. Through that discussion, they worked out a plan where Carol agreed to be transparent about her finances, and her son promised to be more compassionate in how he shared concerns. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it planted a seed of respect on both sides. Why it's worth the effort? You might wonder, if they're the ones being disrespectful, why should I be the one making all these changes? It's a fair question, but relationships rarely heal through blaming. By taking these steps, setting boundaries, listening more deeply, modeling self-respect, balancing support with self-care, and addressing tensions calmly, you're actively shaping the environment in which your children interact with you. You're inviting them to rise to a higher standard of mutual respect. And when respect is restored, the entire family dynamic improves. Conversations flow more easily, visits feel less stressful, and a sense of warmth can flourish, even if you disagree on certain topics. Think back to the times when your family felt most harmonious. Maybe it was a holiday gathering where everyone pitched in to cook and laughed around the table, or a random Sunday afternoon you spent together without conflict. Those memories might feel far away, but they show you what's possible. The path to getting that warmth back may not be linear or easy, but it is often achievable if both sides, and especially you as a guiding figure, take the first step, staying engaged and hopeful. It helps to remember that many adult children still love their parents deeply. They've just grown accustomed to a certain dynamic that doesn't always highlight respect. Maybe they're swamped with careers or raising their own kids. Maybe they have unresolved emotional baggage. Or maybe they're simply used to short, transactional interactions. Did you take your meds, Mom? Rather than extended, meaningful talks. By gradually reintroducing open dialogue, demonstrating self-assuredness, and showing genuine interest in their lives, you can shift the day-to-day tone from quick, functional check-ins to deeper, more respectful exchanges. Don't be discouraged if progress is slow. Habits form over years, and it can take time for your children to see and respond to your changes. There may be setbacks, occasional blowouts, or misunderstandings. That's normal. What matters is consistently returning to these principles. You are worthy of respect. You lead by example. You maintain your own boundaries, and you approach tensions calmly instead of ignoring them or fueling them. Over weeks and months, these small steps accumulate into a noticeable difference in how your family relates to you. What if it doesn't work? In some extreme cases, despite your best efforts, children might not change. They could be grappling with deeper issues, addiction, personal struggles, or simply a long history of resentment that might require therapy. In those instances, remember that you can't control someone else's behavior. You can only control your own. Even if your children continue to dismiss you, your commitment to self-respect and dignity can bring inner peace. You might seek support from friends, religious or community groups, or counseling to process the hurt. If their disrespect continues to be severely damaging, setting firmer boundaries or seeking professional mediation could be the next step. Yet, for many families, the scenario isn't so bleak. Often, adult children just need a gentle nudge, a steady example, and repeated reminders that you are more than just the old parent. You are a person with your own needs, dreams, and sense of self-worth. Once they see that, respect can blossom in ways that might surprise you both, bringing it all together. So, if your children's respect seems to have slipped away, don't lose heart. You discovered 6 tips. Redefine boundaries with confidence. Embrace a new kind of listening. Stop chasing approval. Stand in your own strength. Led by example. Actions speak louder than pleas. Balance support with self-care. Address tensions directly but calmly. Each one can transform interactions in subtle yet powerful ways. Combined, they show your children that you respect yourself, you respect them, and you believe in forging a healthy, two-way relationship. Admittedly, it takes patience. You might slip back into old habits on a tough day. Your children might test your boundaries or react with skepticism at first. But if you stay the course, you'll gradually build a new dynamic, one anchored in genuine regard, not just leftover roles from your child-rearing years. Real respect is a gift that can never be forced. It flourishes when people connect from a place of mutual appreciation, open-hearted listening, and a willingness to adapt. By making the first move to break old cycles, you guide your children toward that better path. And in time, you may find their eyes light up again with the affection and esteem you remember from when they were younger. Only now, it's tempered with adult understanding, a recognition of your experiences, and a respect that runs deeper than ever. After all, you've spent decades of your life caring for them, guiding them, loving them. The bond you share is unique. It deserves nourishment in this later chapter, not just autopilot interactions. By showing up with renewed clarity and intention, you invest in a closeness that can make every visit, phone call, or family gathering that much richer. It's never too late to rekindle that spark. Finally, I want to thank you for exploring these ideas with me. If they resonated, or if you want to learn more about navigating relationships, aging gracefully, and finding new joy in later life, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. We're building a community that believes wisdom doesn't fade with age, it deepens. Let's keep sharing these insights, uplifting each other, and shaping family ties